Emperor! Finish this! Higher ground! We'll gain the advantage! Continue the assault! Reinforcements are coming! The monolith! We destroy that and this is over! Charge!
The planet Cronus. Beset on all sides by the tides of war, this once quiet colony became a savage battlefield. 7 armies clashed on this one world, each refusing to back down. Each convinced it was in the right. From beneath the sands of Cronus' central desert came the Necrons, ancient machines bent on eradicating all life. But another evil already had its eyes on the planet. From the depths of the warp, the demonic forces of chaos arrived to enforce their claim. To oppose these fearsome powers, the planet's rulers in the Tau Empire sent their elite soldiers and sophisticated battlesuits into the fray. From the mighty Imperium of Man came the Imperial Guard, there to secure Cronus for the glory of the God Emperor. Like a green tide, the Orc horde descended on Cronus, caring little for others' claims and sowing destruction in its wake. The Eldar, ancient enemies of the Necrons, emerged from their webway to pursue their own agenda on Cronus. And last came the Space Marines, finest and most uncompromising of the Imperium's soldiers. Seeing a world beset by aliens and heretics, they undertook a great purge. A dark crusade had begun. It could only end with the total victory of one of these factions, and the total defeat of all others. The Necrons had lain buried in the sands of Cronus for eons, having retreated there at the end of a great war only hinted at in the histories of ancient races like the Eldar. Long before man even stood upright, the Necrons and their dark gods had retreated to their tomb worlds. But their slumber was not eternal. Eventually their genocidal deities awoke them again, driving them to purge the life that had spread across the galaxy during their sleep. On Cronus, this awakening came when an archaeological team opened a mysterious crypt on the arid Thor Abyss Plateau. Most of the team died, but expedition leader Thomas Maccabee somehow became one of the mysterious Necron pariahs. Seemingly retaining a hint of his personality, he occasionally spoke for the Silent Army as it advanced. The Necron Lord of Cronus, the most ancient and powerful of the deathless creatures on the planet, promptly launched a campaign of extermination. His loathsome god, the Nightbringer, hungered for the deaths of all those on Cronus. Upon arriving on Cronus, General Lucas Alexander became Governor Militant and set about reclaiming the planet for the Imperium. When his enemies launched attacks on his capital, he prepared to repel them with extreme prejudice. Experts in planetary defense, the men of the Imperial Guard were heavily dug in and fortified in Victory Bay. Any attacker would face well-armed and well-supplied soldiers
backed by powerful armored columns and artillery positions. The Guard's only real weakness was its morale. Although most soldiers served honorably, the men of the regiment's 5th Company had proven less than stalwart and were placed under command of Regimental Commissar Anton Gebet in a forward base on the northern shore of the Victoria River. Without Gebet's whip, the company and its base would surely fold. Other companies took position in forward bases in more sensitive areas, ready to drive the enemy off. Still, determined attackers could overrun those positions. Governor Alexander remained confident, however. Indeed, any opponent who made it past his forward positions would find themselves staring down the barrel of the massive Hellstorm cannon of an Imperator Titan.
Fifth Company, this is the moment of truth. You will not fear. You will not falter. You will not give a single step to the enemy.
But sir,
If you will not serve in combat, then you will serve on the firing line.
Enemies of the Imperium, hear me. You have come here to die. The immortal Emperor is with us, and we are invincible. His soldiers will strike you down. His war machines will crush you under their treads. His mighty guns will bring the very sky crashing down upon you. You cannot win. The Emperor has given us his greatest weapon to wield. So make yourselves ready. We are the 1st Cronus Regiment, and today is our victory day.
Go, go, go! On my command, fire the Titan cannon. Fire! Begin recharge. I want that gun firing again.
the command post is gone. We can't hold them back much longer. We can't allow the Titan cannon to fall into their hands. Overload the core.
For the Emperor!
Imperial forces had faced Necrons before, notably on Lorne V and Verdus Prime, and it had cost the champions of man dearly each time. On Cronus, things only got harder. And when the Necron forces swept into Victory Bay, even the raw power of the revived Hellstorm cannon could not stop them. The Necrons showed cold contempt for the works of man, as they murdered the last tech priests and guardsmen in Victory Bay. With none left to fear them and none left to die, they simply moved on to the next conquest. The remains of the great Titan gun they ignored altogether, even its mighty power, paling in comparison to the galactic genocide their gods demanded. In a foul shrine in the Deimos Peninsula, lost souls summoned the Black Apostle Eliphas to Cronus. There the word-bearers raised their black temples and launched their assault on the world. Eldritch energies split the earth with abyssal fissures and remade the lush jungles into a nightmare landscape, pulsing with ruinous energies. A master demagogue, Eliphas made an advantage of the fractious nature of those bent to chaos. Instead of relying on a unified defense, he allowed his champions and cult leaders to establish their own satellite temples where they could pursue their own dark rituals. Any attacker who hoped to defeat the Word-bearers would have to run a bloody gauntlet of heretics, including some of the Legion's most veteran Chaos Space Marines. Indeed, killing the heretics on Cronus was pointless so long as the Great War Portal and Eliphas's Bastion remained open. The dark spells of the sorcerers Amphion and Zathus maintained this massive rend in the fabric of creation, granting Eliphas endless reinforcements. So long as the Deimos portal remained open, there could be no victory on Cronus.
With the 37 keys of Tzeentch, we open the way for our brothers. With the 1,000 whispers of Slaanesh, we call to them. With the 12 plagues of Nurgle, we fell their enemies. And with the mighty axe of Khorne, we cut open the world for them.
Yes, come forth to bear the word of chaos. Hear my warnings, unbelievers, carried to your minds by the power of the Prince of Excess himself. We have raised altars in this land so that we may sacrifice you to our gods. Veterans of 10 millennia of unholy war wait to grind you beneath the treads of their mighty boots. The chosen of Khorne hunger to add you to their bloody tally. The blood god himself has marked this land and will claim your skulls for his throne. There is no hope in opposing the inevitable. Put down your arms, unbelievers, and bow before the forces of chaos undivided. They reject the word of chaos, my lord. The faithful here are not strong enough.
It is a poor shepherd who blames his flock apostle. This failure is yours and yours alone.
No, I will not go to the Basilica of Torments again.
Fear not, apostle. The Basilica is reserved for those who may redeem themselves.
No!
You will have no such chance.
In the most ancient of Eldar myth cycles, there are tales of the Necrons' bloodthirsty deities clashing with the powers of the Warp. Thus, the Necron assault on the Chaos Stronghold was something of a reenactment of that prehistoric war. The merciless wave of the material Necrons clashing with the unbridled madness of the Immaterium. Despite black sorceries and the rage of foul demons, even the traitor Space Marines could not stop the unending tide of Necrons. The Nightbringer's servants remained in Deimos for some time after their victory, seemingly focused on purging the very soil there, which had been tainted by the power of the Warp. Necron Goss weaponry atomized every last Chaos Temple and artifact left, not to mention all the corpses and the unfortunates who survived the initial attack. By the time the Necrons moved to their next target, the Peninsula had become a scorched desert of ash and dust.
Those opposing Warlord Gorgut's headhunters Green Tide faced the same challenge the Tau had faced on Cronus for generations. Pushing the orcs back from the deserts and cities was one thing, but dislodging them from the jungle was another altogether. Even the legendary Tau leader, Commander Farsight, had failed to purge the orc-infested swamps of the Green Coast. Still, a complete purge wasn't necessary to break Gorguts. The warlord had cobbled together his great horde, or Wah, in the parlance of the alien, from a large number of fractious clans and tribes. So long as the warlord led the Wah to victory, their clan's loyalty was assured. But with enemies assailing them in their very homes, discontent reared its head among the orcs. Secondary chieftains wondered if they might not make better warlords than Gorguts. With these fissures in the Wah widening, the orcs' enemies struck. They drove deep into the Green Coast, hoping to eliminate Gorguts himself and plunge the horde into infighting and rebellion. For Warlord Gorguts, the only solution was to crush the attackers under unrelenting waves of orc warriors.
You think you can sneak about without me boys seeing ya? You think you can come for me, Ed?
Orcs is never beaten in battle.
Shut it, you grot! The rest of them are coming and we got to be ready. Tell the boys there's some killing to do. I made them big banners to remind the clans that they better keep their boys in line. I don't want no squigheads looking to fight me when the enemy's right here.
Gorguts is the war boss. Got it, you mudsuckers? This here voicey box let him talk to you. So open your ears.
Listen up, you grots and squids. They's coming for us like we some kind of human kits, but we ain't. We's the orcs, and this here is gonna be one great fight. So get your choppers and your shooters ready, boys, 'cause there's some killing to do. Head Crushers, you ready? Foot stompers, you squiggers and such ready? Burner boys, you wanna fight? Rocket Rangers, you in it or what? And what about yous, Quick Mix? You gonna let these other runts get all the good fighting done? That's right, we gonna crush them all. This here is a right and proper war!
Gorguts ain't so tough. Get him!
Ain't no grot lover's gonna leave me war! Chop 'em up, boys!
Boss! The foot stompers is rebelling!
I can see that, you squig farmer! Shut your yap and get back to killing!
But killing who, boss?
You ain't got me yet! Got me one more surprise for you!
The boss? Who is getting shot up?
Ain't you the master of the obvious? Use explosives!
The what?
The bomb, you git! The bomb! Always have your tunnels dug and ready.
You sure is smart, boss.
Shut it, you git! I got me a whole war to rebuild. Now get me the gawk off of this here planet.
Two unrelenting tides crashed into one another as the Necrons moved into the Green Coast. Imperial citizens can be forgiven for rejoicing to see the barbaric Orcish horde face the merciless advance of the ancient Deathbringers. No matter who won, however, the cause of man suffered. And when the Necron scythe decapitated the Orc horde, it was only one step on their march of galactic extermination. Orcish hordes are notoriously difficult to eradicate, since the beasts reproduce at a phenomenal rate. Indeed, Cronus's jungle had been the domain of feral orcs long before Warlord Gorguts arrived. The Necrons, however, applied their murderous resoluteness here as well, and systematically purged the jungle, one step at a time. Millions of orcs ultimately perished, each death a pleasing sacrifice for the Nightbringer. When the tide of war turned against the Tau, they faced attack in their stronghold in the city of Asharis, renamed Tashan by the aliens. The aliens were well entrenched, however, and ready to mount a vigorous defense. Shas Okais, the Tau military leader, made his headquarters in a mighty citadel in the city's center, forcing attackers to wend their way through the tight city streets, exposed to sniper fire and ambushes. Outlying bases in different quarters of the city supported his strategy, with Krut warriors and powerful armored units harassing attackers even further. The Tau's only strategic vulnerability was Unity Plaza, the city's main public space. A sophisticated communications tower there could potentially be used by an attacker to expose the stealth units positioned across the city. Okais knew, however, that his attacker's ultimate objective would be assassination, not conquest. Onel Shiorez, a member of the mysterious ethereal caste, led the Tau forces from the citadel in Tashan. Were he to die, Tau forces would crumble. But as long as the ethereal lived, the Tau would defend Tashan against all comers.
Okais, are the troops ready?
Yes, Ornell. The Herb Cast is completing construction of the Montkar command post. Our armored units are ready to deliver the killing blow.
And our Krut allies?
Also ready, Ornell. The Kayun command post in the city's Krut quarter is prepared, and the Shapers have readied the finest of their warriors. Stealth teams are taking position across the city, ready to strike where the enemy is weak. Strike teams of fire warriors and Krut packs will defend the streets and meet the enemy head on.
Excellent, Commander. Patch me through to the troops, please.
Soldiers of the Firecast, Krut and Vespid allies, today we stand as a bulwark against the selfish, the soulless, and the mad. Today
communications array.
Our duty calls, Shazla.
Cut them down. Team Sigma, they are targeting the array to disrupt your stealth fields. Fall back.
Onel is dead. We cannot win.
Fall back, now! All forces, fall back. Evacuate the city. We will return, Onel, to Tau for burial. There is nothing left for us here.
In the clash between the young Tau Empire and the ancient evil of the Necrons, antediluvian determination won out over youthful exuberance. For all the tactical skill of Commander Okais, the Necron wave was unstoppable, and they purged Asharis just as they had all other regions before it. The retreat of the Tau forces left the remaining civilian population of Asharis unprotected from the Necron purge. Once their cold-blooded slaughter completed, however, the Necrons simply abandoned the city and its surrounding communities to the ages. Automated vid systems still broadcast images from the desolate streets, the bleached bones of Tau, Kroot, and humans lying still in the ash-strewn streets. Eldar rely on stealth and trickery where others trust in direct force and valor. An ancient and debased people, the aliens only sully their hands in battle when they have no choice. When the Eldar's enemies at last tracked down their hidden base of operations in Tyrea, the far-seer Taldir turned to a strategy of trickery. In this, she followed the ways of her ancient and deceitful race. Her forces were centered on a great reinforced hill in a remote, frozen area with very limited access. To cut off these access points, the Far-Seer lured Cat's Paws to Tyrea. Orcs, dissatisfied with the war of Warlord Gorguts, followed advice whispered by Taldir's warlocks and camped right where they could screen the Eldar from attackers. The Eldar, nevertheless, built a substantial force of their own. Advanced webway gates allowed them to ferry troops from the Wraith ship hiding behind a holofield somewhere in the Cronus system. But these same gates were the Eldar's great weakness. If attackers could take and hold them, Taldir would be cut off from reinforcements and any hope of escape. Alone and outnumbered, the Eldar would be caught in their own trap.
All is prepared.
Excellent. Exarchracanus, take your warp spiders to their positions and then return to the Aspect Shrine.
We are on our way.
You have doubts, Harlequin?
I trust in your vision, Taldir of Oathway, but to stand surrounded by primitives makes me uneasy.
I understand your distaste, but Eldar rely on speed and stealth. We are not made for entrenched positions. The Orcs, however, make for excellent tools. They will keep the supply roads closed and our true enemies weak.
And if these attackers defeat the orcs?
I do not doubt they will overcome our cat's paws, but it will cost them. And in their weakened state, they will face the wailing doom itself. The Seer Council has named the young king. Exarch Racanus of the Warp Spider Shrine shall sacrifice himself to awaken our most powerful warrior, the Avatar of Cain.
None shall escape my wrath.
Return to the main base. Let our enemies fight amongst themselves.
Get them! Get them all!
Is closed to us now. We are trapped on this world. The Avatar of Cain has fallen. Go, all of you. Find what refuge you can in the wilderness of this world.
Escape is still possible, Farseer.
I do not deserve that title, Harlequin. My vision has failed us all. My fate is here, and I shall not flee from it.
The Eldar had come to Cronus specifically to face the Necrons, and when the Deathless Army marched into Tyrea, they got their chance. For all the lauded foresight of their Farseer, however, the Eldar were unable to stem the Necron tide and fell under the power of their weapons. The dreams of Craftworld Ulthwé came crashing down under the metallic heel of their ancient enemies. The Necrons directed much of their energy to destroying the various Wraithbone structures left by the Eldar. This eldritch material is said to emanate directly from the Warp, which seems to have offended the Deathless Warriors even more than the existence of life. The thin spires built by the Eldar collapsed as gas flares and alien blades cut them into their atomic components. Only when the works of Farseer Taldir were blasted to nothing did the Necron tide move on.
The Space Marines of the Blood Ravens chapter were well entrenched in their castellum in North Vandia when they finally faced an all-out attack. Utterly unwilling to surrender or retreat any further, the Blood Ravens prepared a mighty defense against the coming assault. Among those defending the keep were Space Marines drawn from the chapter's hallowed First Company. These were the hardened veterans of many Crusades, each man ready and able to face down whole squads of enemy attackers.
The Blood Ravens on the ground would be further bolstered by fresh troops arriving from the battle barge Litania Fury in orbit around the planet. Only 2 factors made the Blood Ravens at all assailable in their stronghold. Most critically, the fortress was unable to receive reinforcements directly from orbit. Captain Thule thus had to establish a forward base to receive drop pods and landing craft. Although well defended, this base could be taken. Secondly, the Space Marines had established their base near ancient ruins, which the Ravens claimed held relics of great importance to the chapter. Unwilling to desecrate the space by fortifying it, Thule opened the door to an enemy claiming the area and thus dealing a powerful blow to the normally unbreakable Space Marine morale. The Battle of North Vandia would be one of the bloodiest of the entire war.
The enemy is at our doorstep and thinks he can push us off this world. He is already gloating. He can taste his victory. But what he fails to see is that we will make this his last meal. The Chief Librarian has ordered the purge of this world to protect our chapter's secrets. Are we to retreat with our duty unfulfilled? Are we to let a black mark stain the banner of the Blood Ravens? I say that we will not. I say our enemies will regret the day they ever decided to face us in battle. Our battle barge orbits overhead and will rain the Emperor's holy fury upon our opponents. More of our brothers will come to join the fight. But as ever, our enemy outnumbers us. Each of you must be an army in your own right. Veterans of the First Company, the finest of the entire chapter, stand with us. Let their valor guide your fire into the enemy's heart. Remember that we are Blood Ravens, brothers. We have all sworn to protect fonts of hidden knowledge. Each one of us must fall before handing this word to the enemy. The Emperor is with us. The unknown Primarch is with us. They have come for our blood, but they will drown in their own. Reinforcements have arrived! To battle, Blood Ravens!
For the Emperor!
No! We cannot fail.
The gene seed must be preserved. Get Captain Thule to the Thunderhawk. Understood. Join them, Brother Apothecary. We will cover your escape. And you? We cannot allow the enemy to claim our relics. This area must be cleansed with orbital fire. The chapter will honor you, brother. There is no honor to be had in defeat. But someone must deliver the targeting beacon. Orbital control. Lock onto this beacon and fire. Full power.
Even the elite of the Blood Ravens could not hold back the murderous advance of the Necrons. The Necrons answered the Space Marines' shouted benedictions with stoic silence and murderous blasts from their Gauss flares. The aliens were uninterested in any arcane secrets that might have been hidden in North Vandia, utterly ignoring the scorched ruins of the Blood Ravens' chapel there. Their gruesome warriors flensed the flesh from every Space Marine left on the planet, but left their holy battle armors and other relics to corrode in the harsh weather. Tragically, among the flesh reduced to particulate ash was the gene seed of those Space Marines, dealing a near-fatal blow to the chapter. By taking North Vandia, the Necrons defeated the Blood Ravens on Cronus. But by purging the genetic heritage of all those fallen battle brothers, they may well have destroyed the whole chapter. By the end of the Dark Crusade, Cronus was a tomb world once more. Just as the marching Necron armies cut down all their opponents, so did other fiendish devices work on the planet's very ecosystem. Scarab swarms scoured the lush jungles of the south and the fertile plains of the north, while pulses of loathsome energy killed even microscopic bacteria. The seas died and the air itself became rarefied and poisoned. Soon, sterile sand and dust swept across the Cronusian landscape, broken only by black monuments to the Nightbringer. Cronus became the black heart of the Necron purge in the eastern edge of the galaxy. Warriors emerging from the monoliths of Cronus would bring death to worlds across the Tau Empire, the domains of Ultramar, and many more sectors. Imperial strike fleets, Tau battle formations, and Eldar raiding teams would all try to retake Cronus, only to fall before the huge crypt vessels protecting the tomb world from orbit. Each heroic effort only added more deaths to the Nightbringer's tally.